Gary, I know you don't want to talk about the horse race. We won't do that, but I do want to talk about policy.
Sure.
Tax cuts, tariffs. Let's start with tax cuts. Hardly been talked about. You and I caught up yesterday, and I have to say, I haven't talked about the tax cuts and all the money that's starting to come back into the country for the best part of 6 years or something like that. How relevant are yesterday's tax cuts to today's economy?
Well, they're the 2017 tax cuts. And I think they're really important. So this is back on the theme of normalization. So since we really got the tax cuts through that were signed December 22nd of 2017, we sort of had 18, 19, we had sort of two normalized years. 18 was sort of an implementation year. And we saw some really amazing things start happening. We saw real repatriation of foreign overseas money. Saw $1.5 trillion come back in the United States because in the old tax system, corporations could leave their money offshore and they didn't have to pay U.S. taxes, so they brought it back. We deemed that money to have brought back, so we taxed it. It got brought back. I think when you see what's going on, there's the manufacturing boom in the United States right now, which started in that period of time. A lot of that has to do with this repatriated money. Historically, when companies couldn't bring their money back, they had to invest it overseas. They built manufacturing overseas. They invested in property, plant, and equipment. Now that they're being taxed no matter whether they bring it back or not, they're bringing it back, they're paying the tax, and they're investing. So you've seen the creation of manufacturing in the United States. This started in 2018 and 19 as companies started bringing back their repatriated money. You've also seen the growth that we've seen in consumption. You've seen the growth in the middle class's ability to spend money. Hardworking individuals got a real tax cut. And that's why I think people have missed the economic picture in the United States so badly. Everyone calling for this recession over the last year and a half, I don't think they understood the additional consumptive powers that the tax cuts created. We put real additional disposable income into people's pockets. And we did it on purpose. We made some very conscientious decisions to make sure that we were delivering real taxable returns or less tax to the hardest working individuals in America. And it takes time for that to feed through the system. It doesn't happen year one. And then we go through COVID. So you get all of these, unnatural phenomena. And now we're back to what I say is more normal behavior. People are understanding what their taxable income is. Some of the programs that we put in 2017 have expired. And I'm happy to say that we're seeing some bipartisan legislation to reinstate some of those programs. There's a bill going through the House right now to reinstate some of the child tax credits, along with accelerated depreciation and the write-off of R&D credits. We think both sides of that equation, they were in the original tax bill. We think they're both important. You're taking care of both sides of the equation. We have to take care of hardworking families with children, and we have to incentivize companies to continue to do R&D and continue to invest in the country.
Gary, those individual tax cuts from 2017 are set to be expired. As you say, that helps individuals and taxes, but if you have a 10% tariff wall around the United States, that's a massive tax on consumers.
It is. So look, the tariff wall is something that needs to be discussed. I know it's a potential that's being discussed out there, and it's an idea. It's something that's being used to potentially pay for the future tax plans.
Wouldn't it negate it?
Look, I think we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves right now. As you said, the personal side of the tax reform package terminates in 2025. There will be enormous amount of discussion to what happens between now and 2025. It will be important to what the makeup of Congress looks like, to what you are able to do, what you're not willing to do. Are you going to be able to do this through reconciliation? Are you going to be able to do it through normal order? Are you going to be able to do it with a simple majority? To do that, that means the Republicans would have to control the House, the Senate, and the White House. If you've got a split Congress, or maybe the Democrats control all three. If you're doing it through reconciliation, you're going to be able to do it through one set of policies. If you do it through regular order, you're going to have a much more of a compromise on what goes on here. So I think that the ideas that are being talked about right now are concepts. And this is what's interesting about the electoral process in the United States. And I think this is why it's important. This is a time where potential candidates and incumbents, and we actually have a couple of incumbents running, they get to tell us about their ideas of how they want to run the government. And these are ideas. If you look at the history, there are concepts and they're starting places. They're not necessarily ending places.